Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about the cyanohydrin formation reaction, and this is carbonyl based. So we can either use a ketone, which we have here, or because it's carbonyl based, we could also use an aldehyde. And what we'll do in this reaction is react it with hydrogen cyanide, and then use some type of base in order to get this type of molecule right here, where our carbon-oxygen double bond is no longer present, but rather we have an alcohol and we also have a nitrile. And these two functional groups are pretty useful in organic chemistry, and they're used a lot in other reactions. And so we have a couple of bases in this reaction that we can use in order to do it correctly. A couple of examples include potassium hydroxide. We could also use sodium hydroxide, or we could even use potassium cyanide. So all of these are perfectly acceptable in order to do our reaction correctly. So here's the mechanism as follows. First, we'll need to work with our hydrogen cyanide in order to prepare our molecule correctly in order to attack our carbonyl. So first what we'll do is we will draw out our hydrogen cyanide and then use some type of base in order to depronate our hydrogen. Now for this example, let's say we use sodium hydroxide. All we need to do is write down the OH part, and this will depronate the hydrogen off of this molecule, moving those electrons onto the carbon. So now what we get is a carbon with one lone pair, and it's going to have a negative charge, which now means that we can bring in our carbonyl. And this lone pair is going to attack our carbonyl carbon, moving those electrons onto the oxygen. So now what we get is our oxygen up here with a negative charge, and then we have our nitrile. So now what we can do is we can bring in another equivalent of our hydrogen cyanide, and this oxygen will depronate the hydrogen and move those electrons onto the carbon just like we did prior. And so now what we get is our OH right here and our nitrile. Additionally, we get a byproduct, which is cyanide. And this is a really cool reaction because of that fact. In most reactions, what we do is we regenerate a reagent that we've used prior. But now we've regenerated another base that we haven't used, because remember we used sodium hydroxide to start off with, that we can use back in the reaction and do the mechanism correctly again using the exact same steps. So this is the complete reaction and mechanism for cyanohydrin formation. Have fun with it. I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys in the next video.